Something is seriously wrong. Not with Meghan, not with Harry, not even with the royal family today. No. Something is deeply, chronically, almost impressively wrong with a specific corner of the UK media. The corner that apparently decided, at some point in the recent past, that journalism was too broad a career description and chose to specialize, to niche down, to find their lane and stay in it with the kind of unwavering, unblinking, frankly awe-inspiring commitment that most people reserve for things like raising children or training for marathons. Their lane? Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Every day, without fail, without evolution, without the slightest apparent awareness that the rest of the world has continued moving while they have remained perfectly, almost heroically stationary. And the latest dispatch from this lane comes courtesy of Amanda Platell, who sat down at her keyboard with her full adult brain functioning, presumably, and produced a sentence so magnificently self-unaware, so breathtakingly lacking in any apparent capacity for reflection, that the internet did not merely respond to it, the internet studied it. Like a specimen, like something that needed to be examined under controlled conditions to fully understand what it represented. They dragged her. They roasted her. They turned her into a case study, and honestly, she walked into that, because apparently her job description is no longer journalist, it's full-time Meghan historian with emotional damage. The sentence, delivered with the confidence of someone who has never once considered whether confidence is warranted: I may not have met Meghan, but I will never stop criticizing her. Read that again. One more time. Really let it sit. I may not have met her, but I will never stop. That's not a journalistic position. That's not commentary. That's not even opinion in any recognizable professional sense of the word. That is a vow. That is the kind of language people use in wedding ceremonies and legal depositions, the kind of solemn, permanent, irrevocable commitment that you'd expect to see accompanied by candles and a notary public. Amanda Platell has made a lifetime pledge to a woman she has never met, who does not know she exists, who is, at this precise moment, somewhere in California living her life with the serene, complete indifference of someone who has never once wondered what Amanda Platell thinks about her morning routine. The dedication, the commitment, I genuinely do not know whether to be appalled or impressed. It's both. It's appalled and impressed. It's appalled with a grudging respect for the sheer endurance of it. Let's do something that UK tabloid culture finds genuinely threatening. Let's apply logic. Slowly, in public, where everyone can see it. The argument Platell is making, the one that she has been making in various forms for approximately 7 years now, which is itself a fact worth examining at length, is that Meghan has caused harm, that she has witnessed this harm, that her ongoing criticism is therefore not obsession, but accountability, public service, essentially. Someone has to do it. Witnessed. That word is doing extraordinary amounts of heavy lifting in the sentence, and I think we should acknowledge that. Witnessed from where, exactly? From inside the palace? No. From private family gatherings where these alleged harms were occurring? Also no. From some position of privileged access that would allow her to speak with the authority her tone implies? Definitively, documentably not. From her living room? From tabloids, from a column written by other people who were also in their living rooms, from a chain of citations so circular that if you follow it all the way around, you end up back at the same place you started, which is someone decided to say something negative, and then other people repeated it, and now it's witnessed. That's not witnessing. That's consuming media with strong feelings about the content. By this standard, I have witnessed the moon landing. I have witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall. I have witnessed approximately 47 seasons of reality television competitions. I was not there for any of these things, but I have very strong opinions about them, and I'm willing to commit to those opinions in print. That's not a press pass. That's just having a television. Now, 7 years. 7 years. Let's actually think about what 7 years represents in terms of sustained professional focus on a single human being who has, for the majority of that time, been living quietly in another country and largely declining to engage.
In 7 years, you can earn a PhD. 2 of them, actually, if you're efficient about it and choose related fields. In 7 years, you can learn multiple languages to conversational fluency. In 7 years, children go from being in primary school to sitting their GCSEs. In 7 years, entire industries transform, technologies emerge, cultural moments rise and fall and get replaced by other cultural moments that themselves rise and fall. And Amanda Platell has spent those 7 years doing one thing, one specific, consistent, apparently inexhaustible thing: writing about Meghan. Not occasionally, not when genuinely significant news warranted commentary, not with the measured, proportionate engagement of a journalist responding to events as they occur. Daily. That word appeared in the comments. You've been criticizing her daily since 2018, and it landed because it's accurate. Not hyperbole, not exaggeration for rhetorical effect. Daily criticism of a private individual who has not been a working royal for several years, who lives in another country, who has not sought engagement with the people criticizing her, and who by every available evidence has moved on completely from the environment in which the alleged witnessing occurred. Daily. For 7 years. There is a clinical term for this level of sustained, one-directional, unreciprocated focus on another person. I'm not going to use it because I'm not a mental health professional and it wouldn't be appropriate, but I will say that if you described this behavior to anyone, removed the context, removed the media framing, just described the raw pattern of it, and asked them what they thought it represented, journalism would not be the first word that came to mind. Or the second. Now let's give the internet their flowers, because the comments, the comments. No press release, no carefully worded statement from a communications team, just the unfiltered, unedited, completely unmanaged response of people who read the article and had thoughts about it. Not you retweeting a post from 4 days ago because nobody cared the first time. That one landed like a precision strike, because embedded in it is an observation that is both comedically devastating and analytically precise. The article didn't perform the way it was supposed to. The engagement didn't materialize on schedule. The engagement metrics weren't there, so it got reshared with the desperate energy of someone pushing content that isn't moving. Which is its own kind of commentary, really. If the argument were compelling, if the critique were incisive, if the journalism were doing what journalism is supposed to do, it wouldn't need to be reshared 4 days later in the hope that this time somebody notices. Good work finds its audience. Work that exists primarily to relitigate a 7-year grievance finds a much smaller one. And apparently finding it requires multiple attempts. Meghan moved on. Why can't you? 9 words, the entire debate compressed into 9 words with the efficiency of someone who has neither the time nor the patience for anything more elaborate. And the thing that makes this comment so effective is that it's not even particularly harsh. It's almost gentle. It's the kind of thing you'd say to a friend who keeps bringing up an ex at dinner 3 years after the breakup. Concerned, slightly tired, genuinely puzzled by the persistence. Journalists should not be biased. Simple. Foundational, the kind of statement that sounds almost too obvious to need saying until you realize it apparently does need saying, because here we are. And here is the thing about all of these comments, the thread that runs through all of them and gives them their collective weight. They are not defending Meghan in the way that Platell and her colleagues would characterize as blind loyalty or fan behavior. They're asking a question, a basic, reasonable, journalistically legitimate question. Why is it always her? Not why is there criticism, not why is anyone held accountable, not why do public figures face scrutiny. Why does the criticism always be the same person? Why does the scrutiny apply with such extraordinary, sustained, almost exclusive intensity to this one individual? Why does the accountability framework seem to exist with exactly one subject? Why, when you survey the full landscape of things that might warrant journalistic attention, does the compass needle always swing back to the same point?
That's not a question about Meghan. That's a question about the coverage, and it's a question that deserves a better answer than the one currently being offered. Let's talk about the business model, because this is the part that explains everything else and that nobody involved in producing this content particularly wants discussed plainly. Meghan generates clicks. Full stop. End of financial analysis. That's the entire economic engine powering 7 years of daily criticism. Not justice, not accountability, not public interest, not the sacred duty of the free press to speak uncomfortable truths to powerful people. Clicks. Her name in a headline moves traffic. It generates engagement. It fills comment sections, both from people who agree with the criticism and from people who don't. And from a revenue perspective, it genuinely does not matter which, with the kind of sustained, passionate, returning visitor activity that digital publishing runs on. She is, from a pure traffic perspective, an extraordinary asset. Which creates a situation of almost perfect irony that deserves to be stated as directly as possible. The people writing daily content about how irrelevant and damaging and unimportant Meghan is are financially dependent on her continued relevance and continued capacity to generate damage-adjacent content. She cannot be irrelevant. She must never be allowed to become irrelevant. Because the moment she becomes irrelevant, the moment the audience stops clicking on her name, the entire operation loses one of its most reliable revenue sources. So when Amanda Platell says, "I will never stop criticizing Meghan," set aside the personal investment, set aside the 7-year emotional commitment, set aside all the human psychology involved. Just look at it as a business statement. I will never stop producing content about the person's name drives my traffic. Suddenly, it makes complete sense. Not journalistic sense, not ethical sense, but business sense in the most reductive, most transparent, most accidentally honest way imaginable. She told on herself right there in the headline, and the internet read it correctly. Here's the contradiction at the center of this entire situation, and it is so perfectly constructed that it almost seems deliberate. The same people who insist that Meghan is irrelevant, damaging, over, finished, fading, forgotten, are the people keeping her name alive. Every article, every column, every dramatic declaration of eternal criticism, every reshared tweet from 4 days ago, every panel discussion, every hot take, every source close to the situation story, all of it, every single piece of it, is a contribution to her continued cultural presence. You cannot write about someone every day and simultaneously argue they are irrelevant. The daily writing is the relevance. You are manufacturing the very thing you claim to be reporting on. You are the cause of the effect you are pretending to merely observe. It's like someone repeatedly hitting themselves in the face and then writing a column about why their face hurts and who is responsible and why society needs to take the face pain problem more seriously. You did this. You are doing this. And the fact that you can't see it or won't see it or have decided that the revenue justifies not seeing it, that's the confession right there, hidden in plain sight inside every article, every headline, every solemn vow to never, ever stop. You can't let her go. The proof is the publishing schedule. Here is what this moment actually represents. Underneath the comedy of it, underneath the roast-worthy self-own of the headline, underneath the delicious irony of the internet dragging a column for the crime of being exactly what it appears to be, something is shifting. Not dramatically, not in a way that will produce an immediate, visible, measurable change in the output of the people who have built careers on this particular content strategy, but in the audience. Because audiences have changed. The passive consumer who absorbed headlines without interrogating them, who accepted the framing without examining the frame, who read the column and stored the impression without asking who benefits from this impression existing, that audience is shrinking. The audience that notices, that questions, that applies the same analytical pressure to media claims that they would apply to any other assertion, that asks, who is writing this? Why are they writing it? What are they not saying? What does the pattern tell us? That audience is growing. And Amanda Platell's article did not just get read by that audience. It got studied. Line by line, word by word, assumption by assumption. The rhetorical moves identified, the logical gaps named, the business model articulated, the 7-year pattern documented and presented back, clearly and without mercy, in comment sections that she almost certainly wishes she hadn't scrolled. This is accountability, not the performed version. The real version, the version that doesn't need a press pass or a publishing deal or access to royal circles. Just a timeline, a pattern, and a comment section full of people who noticed. So here is where we land. Amanda Platell wrote that she will never stop criticizing a woman she has never met. And in doing so, she gave us a perfect, compact, accidentally transparent summary of everything that has gone wrong with a certain approach to a certain subject over a sustained and frankly remarkable period of time. Not journalism, fixation. Not accountability, revenue generation. Not witnessing, consuming tabloids with strong feelings. Not public interest, obsession with a publishing deadline. The internet saw it clearly, said it plainly, and dragged it with the particular efficiency of people who have been patient for 7 years and have finally, collectively, run out of patience. So the next time someone publishes a solemn vow to never stop criticizing someone they've never met, maybe the first question shouldn't be, what did that person do? Maybe the first question should be, who exactly is the problem here? Because it's not Meghan. She moved on. Years ago. You just didn't notice because you were too busy writing about her.